Good evening, everybody. How you doing? It is Saturday, the 26th, day after Christmas, for those of you that celebrate Christmas. And here we are, weekly recap, Facebook Live, Tech 20. Good to see you. Glad everybody is here. Hope you had a good holiday season so far. Got time to spend with some family members or family yesterday or this whole weekend. And if you're driving back today or tomorrow, be safe on the highways. I'm sure it's not as bad as a typical holiday, but I'm sure there's still traffic. So be safe driving back. Let's get started. Weekly shout outs. Monday, shout out to all the different companies and businesses and manufacturers and vendors and everybody that has made the effort to try to make connection with family possible through this pandemic, especially during the holiday season. Zoom being one of the big ones. I'm sure there's many others. You've got Apple and FaceTime and all kinds of other ones out there. So thank you to that. And then also Thursday, shout out to all the businesses, first responders who have been fighting the good fight with this pandemic, all the businesses that have supported My Spout throughout the year, and just everybody that's working hard and trying to figure out how to finish strong in 2020, looking forward to a better 2021. And so shout out to all of you. Appreciate it. So let's recap. Monday talked about browser extensions. And again, for those of you that don't know what a browser extension is, it's simply a little piece of software that gives your browser more functionality. Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and pretty much any other browser you can get browser extensions, but you have to be careful because a lot of times browser extensions are like apps. If you're not careful, you're giving access to these extensions to your computers in your browsers that you may not have intended. And so Avast found 15 Chrome extensions, 13 Edge extensions specifically that contain malicious code. They redirect users to ads, to phishing sites. They collect personal data, collect browsing history, download further malware. So it's just you have to be careful. And I posted a link on Monday to the article that described and told you what these extensions were, called them by name, so you could go through and look at them and see if you have any of them. You could uninstall them. Very simple. Chrome, which I use Chrome. I'm not as much an Edge person, so I'm not as familiar with Edge, but definitely Chrome. 3 dots, extensions, remove them. And they use what looks like legitimate stuff. Direct message for Instagram, DM for Instagram, video downloader for Facebook, Spotify music downloader, the New York Times. So these are things that they're trying to trick you into thinking that something's legitimate when it's not. And always be cautious when you install these. A lot of times it'll say something on there about, do you grant access? This app wants access or extension wants access to this. Do you grant that? So just be careful. Be careful and watch, just like with anything else. Double check before you install. And if you don't know, ask someone. Ask me. Let me know. I'll find out for you and let you know if it's legitimate. Speaking of different things that are going on, Skype added a new feature. And actually, I didn't want to talk about it next, but Skype added a new feature, just groups. Let's actually go right about it to iPhones. This was a big deal. iPhones. Citizen Lab researchers found evidence that dozens of journalists tied to Al Jazeera had their iPhones compromised with spyware. And so it was tied to known nation states that use this. And it's the Citizen Lab, it's an internet watchdog at the University of Toronto, so Canadian based. They investigated, they found a bunch of different iPhones that had the Pegasus spyware, known to be developed by an Israeli-based group, NSO Group. And they found, I think it was 36 journalists, producers, and executives had been targeted in this attack. And what does that mean? Well, it goes back to, things are, even though it's Apple, it's an iPhone, things can still happen. So you have to be careful and know what you're downloading. And they said, Apple did say that they haven't independently verified Citizen Labs findings, but they do assert that the vulnerabilities used to target the reporters was fixed in the iOS 14 update back in September. So if you haven't updated your phone by now, here you go. Update your phone because it's vulnerable to this. Yeah. So what else? Found out more SolarWinds news, and I want to talk. I want to talk about this because it's kind of ballooning out. It started out with the cybersecurity company FireEye. It's breached out into SolarWinds and government agencies, and it's big deal. So what does this mean? It just means that, and this is really the point of what I wanted to talk about tonight, is that this should be a reminder to any business owner out there that long gone are the days of, if I get attacked, it's when. You will face an attack. It's going to happen. And what I try to help people understand, business owners understand, is that it may not be your business specifically that's the target, but it's who you know. You may have a business that works with a business that works with a business. That's big news. Managed service providers like MindSpout are targets because we have our fingers in multiple businesses. It's why some of the things that we put into place are there. It's not because there's a silver bullet and it's going to prevent it. It's about creating defense in depth and making it more difficult for it to actually happen. And that's what you need to think about as a business owner, even individually. You need to make it difficult. And that doesn't mean you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on different tools and different bells and whistles. No. Sometimes it's as simple as providing security awareness training. Sometimes it's as easy as turning on two-factor authentication. Sometimes it may mean installing a firewall or a device that monitors traffic. But you have to prepare as if it will happen. Have a backup plan. Have a business continuity plan. Have a disaster recovery plan. Have the things in place that if you are the next victim of a cyber attack, boom, it kicks off a sequence of events and you can recover. That's what FireEye did. And I commend FireEye. They came right out. They acknowledged something was going on. They worked on it right away. They started putting out effort and execution into protecting sensitive tools and accesses. They moved quickly to publish countermeasure tools. So you have to be prepared. And kudos to FireEye. It shouldn't be big news that it happened. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. And it may very well happen to you. So be prepared. And if you don't know what that means, ask somebody. Talk to your IT provider. Talk to me. I will gladly help out and give advice where I can. But just know that every business is a target. Every business. And you have to look at it in terms of supply chain. We all have supply chain different pieces that take you from A to Z, and somewhere in that supply chain may be the target. They're always going to target the weakest link. So don't let yourself be the weakest link. Let somebody else be the weakest link. And if they're the weakest link, talk to them about not being the weakest link. Train your employees, security awareness training, look for your vulnerabilities, assess those vulnerabilities, and mitigate as best as you can. But don't be the one that's next. Make it hard. Make it hard. Datto, on the heels of all this, they've released a free scanner that you can download and scan networks to see if there's any evidence of these tools being used. Again, a lot of this was focused around the SolarWinds Orion software. SolarWinds has been working to patch and manage all that. But if you do use it, you may want to talk to somebody at Datto to download whatever the tool that they have, their Red Team countermeasure scanner, to see if those tools have been used. But please, let this be a wake-up call. Let this really sink in that it could be you, and that it's not if, it's when, and be prepared. So what are some cybersecurity tips that you can take right now? And I know it seems like, it's these big businesses and government agencies, yes, but it can affect you individually and you as a business owner. So what are 5 cybersecurity things you can do right now? You've already said all before. Don't use reuse passwords across multiple accounts. Use a password manager. Generate unique passwords for every website you go to. 2FA, two-factor authentication. Turn it on. Use it. Yes, it's a pain. Yes, it's not perfect and it can be beat. But remember, make it harder. Make it more of a challenge. Turn on 2FA. If you're going to use platforms, cloud-based platforms, make sure it's end-to-end encryption. So there's there's a lot of different ways to look at encryption. There's encryption for data at rest, data in transit. You want encryption for data at rest and data in transit. That is key. You want to make sure that whatever it is, there is encryption. That way, if it's intercepted, it's just garbled. It doesn't make sense. Don't give your data to every site that asks for it. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp. We could go down a list. Don't give your data away for free. There's already enough of it out there. Don't give it away even more. Use a personal monitoring service that informs you you've been in your ID or identity has been compromised. ID Shield and Legal Shield, ID Shield is kind of a subset of Legal Shield. If you want to talk to somebody there, they have some great plans for very inexpensive, both personal and family. I can highly recommend somebody. Just let me know. There's LifeLock. There's all kinds of different services out there. Check into it and make sure that you get something that will help you, because the last thing you need is for your identity to be stolen, and then you're fighting on your own trying to recover that, and the headache that goes into that. Just talk to anybody who has gone through it. Have a monitoring service that's monitoring for you. They're monitoring the dark web. They're monitoring your credit reports. They're monitoring the things that you could certainly do, but it would take time. But you could pay a small fee per month for somebody else to do it. Get that. I definitely would recommend that. Positive news, more positive news. So as we are winding down 2020, we're moving into 2021. What you're seeing a lot of big companies do, and I think this is going to be a trend across the board, is a reskilling or upskilling of its employees. It's taking employee base and saying, hey, well, how about we learn something else, or we teach you something new. And not that hasn't happened before, but I think there's been a bigger push now just because of COVID has really altered what the business landscape is and what it's going to look like moving forward. Business is going to be completely different. It's going to be done differently than what's ever been done before. This has rewritten the business playbook. And you're seeing some of these things happen right now. Amazon, Microsoft, Intel, many others, but these three have some really cool things going on. Amazon, with their Amazon Web Services, they announced a program to provide education and training programs to 29 million people globally between now and 2025. They have free programs like AWS Educate, AWS Training and Certifications. They're hoping to advance cloud computing, which it's here. It's only going to continue to grow. And Amazon also announced a separate $700 million program to upskill its existing workers, including people who start as entry-level warehouse workers but want to move into better paying, more advanced jobs. So kudos. Microsoft, very similar upskilling program, hopes to allow 25 million people to be trained on tech-related skills by the end of the year. This was earlier in the year. Intel launched an associate's degree in artificial intelligence for community colleges in Arizona. So great job. And if you're a business owner, think about some unique ways, some out-of-the-box thinking where you may be able to empower your employees to do more or learn something new to be of more value to you as a business owner and your company as well as your clients. Be creative when you're thinking. Sit down with some people that you trust, other business owners or our mastermind group, and brainstorm. How can I adjust and thrive and empower my employees to do more or be better at what they do as this whole business landscape changes? This is going to be a big thing. And I think as you've seen the big companies, more and more companies are going to do this, and it will filter down. So be on the front edge. Definitely be on the front edge and teach and train and figure out ways to do it. Amazon, again, they shut down a warehouse in New Jersey. It's supposed to be out until just today. They had an increase in asymptomatic positive cases. Not sure if they've been back up. They haven't checked, but it's across the board. Is what it is. It's the pandemic. Zoom, just a note, if you haven't updated Zoom recently, update your Zoom. The newest Zoom, I think, is 5.4.7. They rolled out an update on the 21st that actually is geared partially towards the new M1 chips and the new Apple Macs. The idea is that it makes it more optimized for the new Mac. And you're going to see a lot of that over the next couple of months, where all these different applications, these different softwares are optimizing themselves. And we talked about Microsoft Office last week. They're optimizing themselves for the new M1 chips. They don't want to be the software that is the drain on the new chips, especially given the positive result or positive feedback that's been gotten so far on the battery life and the power of the M1 chips. So Zoom, again, make sure you update your Zoom. Update it regardless on your PCs, but Macs, the new Macs, definitely update your Zoom. If you don't know how, open up Zoom, your picture, your avatar, whatever, check for updates. It'll do it. And if that doesn't work, go right to zoom.us, resources, download a fresh instance and install it. And that should take care of it with no problems. If you have any problems, let me know. I'm glad to help. Finally, as I said on Thursday, happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever it is that you may or may not celebrate. Happy holidays to you. Hope you have had a good week. You've had a chance to spend time with family, whether it's been in person or virtual, whatever it is. And for those that this may be difficult because you've lost loved ones around the holidays or it's just a challenging time, really sorry and thinking about you. And speaking of which, I don't know if everybody heard about the explosion in Tennessee that happened on Christmas Day. Thoughts and prayers go out to those people in the recovery, whatever happened there. Hope justice is served, but really sad to hear that in Nashville. So hope everybody is okay. And again, just thoughts and prayers go out to them. And so everybody, what do you want to know about as we close out 2020 next week? If there's anything that you'd like to know about or questions you may have related to 2020 ending or 2021 beginning with technology, comment, send it to me. We'd love to talk about it, give you a shout out. And again, have a great finish to this holiday weekend. Stay safe if you're driving home. If you need to get tested when you come back in, go get it right away just to make sure. I know some people who have COVID now that have a pretty bad time. So I appreciate prayers from them. But other than that, everybody have a great Saturday evening. And I will see you Monday, 6 p.m. for the next Tech 20.